met them, I was teaching English, and their mother was in my class, and she brought these two little skinny kids to class. And so after that first day of class, I just said, Shalonda, I love your son. They're so well behaved, but it's against policy. We can't have them here in the classroom. And she looked at me and she said, Miss Fenton, I have to bring them here because we live at Wayside, and I can't leave them. I walked out the door that day just thinking, this can't be. And a variety of things happened, and Robert and several others, we were able to move them to Beecher Terrace so that they actually had housing. I'll never forget the day in my trailblazer that I had their belongings in garbage bags, and we were taking it out of the old Wayside, and there's that McDonald's that's there on Market Street, and Tyrone, the older of the two boys, was reaching into his pocket. There was a man who was clearly homeless, and he handed that man a quarter. And I remember just looking at him, and I mean, this kid had a quarter. I mean, his mother probably didn't even have that much in her pocket, and he was giving it to a man in need. And I looked at Tyrone and I just said, are you tired of this? And he had just one tear, and I promised him, you'll never be homeless again. And he just graduated from high school. He's now working, wants to be a chef and a rapper, even though I tell him that his words are poetry, and they are, but he thinks he has to lay down his beats, so we go back and forth. But Terry and Tyrone live in Beecher Terrace, and the day that we moved them, a young man was killed right out in front of the space that it's hard to call a yard. Last week I spoke with them about the violence, the May 17th shootings. I think it stunned all of us, and both boys seemed somewhat apathetic, and I just got angry and I got scared, and I just said to them, do you get it? Do you get that this is not it, that there's so much more? And they just did their yes ma'am. And so I just started just reaching out, and that night after we hung up the phone, less than an hour later, a young man named Curtis, 22 years old, was killed 10 seconds from their door. So like so many people, you just want to say, what do we do? What can we do? I live in the Highlands. I don't live right there. I'm not picking up the guns. I'm not selling the drugs. But we have to be able to do something. And we put this task force together, and all that stuff is wonderful, but what about regular people? And so I called Christopher 2X, and I called Robert, and it just so happened that Love Louisville, June 16th, had already been planned. And something Christopher 2X is an activist who works in the West End, and he came down and talked with my godsons. And as we're walking away after an hour and a half of spending time in conversation, a car with tinted windows pulled up, and a man rolled out the window and started yelling at us. And he said, where were you before the shootings? Where were you? And Christopher just ran right out to the young man. And I have my photographer who's with me, who's 24 years old, because we're doing an actual story on this because the boys want their voice heard. I work in the media, and so we're gonna use this opportunity to get the word out. And here's my 24-year-old photographer who just kept joking about how he stands out, and he did. When you have camera equipment and you're the only person with pale skin, you're standing out at Beecher Terrace. But it was such an amazing experience. But here this car stops, and we just put, dear God, please don't let this happen. Please don't let this happen. And Christopher ran out and said to the man, brother, we're here. We're here, and we're staying, and you can be part of the solution. And they shook hands, and he drove off. And we're walking, and I just said, Christopher, what can we do? And this is before I talked with Robert. And he said, come here. And I just started talking. Our 5Ks don't go in that area. We don't hold festivals in those areas. What if your neighborhood were an area where people were afraid to come? My godson said, we believe that there's more. But how can they believe that if we're not there? So all of a sudden things just blossomed. And June 16th, from noon until 3, Love Louisville has turned into something incredible. I mean, it's not just a simple cookout anymore. There have been restaurants who have stepped up. Santa Claus is coming. He'll be wearing shorts and a Hawaiian shirt. The bubble truck will be there. Dare to Care is bringing their mobile food pantry. I mean, this thing has just exploded, but I had to go down and fill out a $40 special event permit. It took an hour to do this, and the woman was so amazing. Just talking to her, and then all of a sudden this cluster mess of email between 5 different agencies in our government here started, and I have to pay $175 for this, and I have to get insurance for this, and I just took a deep breath and sent an email that essentially said, this event is about loving God and loving people. Can it really be that complicated? And the chief of police, our new chief, saw this email chain and said, stop. You have to stop. This is about exactly what Robert's mission is, and that is just random acts of kindness, just going out and loving on a segment of the community that doesn't feel loved. So the police will be there, and the firefighters will be there, and again, restaurants, and we're just going to give away food and give away love. And all I'm asking people, come. If you can, come from 12 until 3 next Saturday. The rain date is June 30th. We have to show the city, one, that this was worth it. This $40 permit, but we have to show them that we care, and then we'll come back. And I also I work for Churchill Downs on freelance, so when you come, and I hope you do, and I have like a faux henna tattoo and all kinds of craziness, I'm running right to Churchill Downs after for night races, so I'm a little embarrassed about that because I have to get all ready before. But if I can do it, you can do it, and tell people, use your networking abilities. Because we have to show up.
Exactly, yeah. How many of you are planning on coming? Here, a round of applause. So we've got t-shirts that we've printed up, and I've ordered extra, so we're going to meet here at 11 o'clock at Sanctuary. We're going to get organized for some of the things that we can do to help. I mean, we need people to cook. We need people to help with the youth that are going to be forming a lot of games. We need people to just float around and be there and connect with people.